Welcome to week 6, everyone, of English 110. Hopefully, all of you are feeling healthy and doing well. Everything's going well on my end, although my entire family is inside the house with me this week, of course. So it is a noisy afternoon, and if you hear noises in the background, I apologize. We have the washing machine going, we have the dog at home, and people are talking and enjoying the Sunday afternoon. So, again, if you do hear noises in the background, I apologize for that. This is not a professional video by any stretch of the imagination. So, I'm going to try to go as briefly as possible and not ramble on and on about the activities this week. There are 3 of them. I want you to complete the reading and resources in the lessons. I want you to post to the week 6 forum. The first post should be by Thursday, and the rest of your posts are due by Sunday. And then I also want you to submit your annotated bibliography. I'm going to try to help you with the assignment due this week. Please do not feel overly anxious about the annotated bibliography. There are some specifics I'm looking for, but I'm not looking for perfection with the citations. The point of the citations is for me to help you with the format, not for me to be overly mean with my grading practices. I don't enjoy that, so hopefully you find that I'm not overly critical. Anyway, so here are the reading and resources due this week. All of them are great, but there are 2 that I find especially useful. First, countering opposing arguments. Now, briefly, the purpose of argumentation, and I'm going to go through this briefly again, is not to scream loudly at your opponent or your audience, hoping that your side will win. Instead, what you do is you're kind of sneaky, okay? So kind of think of yourself as kind of sneaky. You're showing that you understand the other side, and you're going to do it as honestly as possible, right? Without any sort of bias. And then, even though you understand the other side, your side is still the better one. So, the best way to do this is pretend that your audience actually believes the other side. Your goal is to win over that audience. How are you going to do it? Yelling at them? No, you're going to do it by flattering them, showing that you understand their point of view, and then you show them how their point of view is wrong. So it's kind of sneaky, right? And so we're going to be practicing countering opposing arguments in the forum this week. So I'm going to pull up the forum. All right, so we are going to work on writing counter arguments and rebuttal paragraphs. This assignment is not for your final analysis essay. You're going to use your week 5 position paper to write counter arguments and rebuttals. Okay, so for your position paper, remember you are arguing for one side. And most of you did not write a counter argument. If you did, that's fine, and you can include that in your week 6 assignment. But if you didn't, you need to write a counter argument pretending to prove the other side, and then you refute that in your rebuttal paragraph. When you do write your counter argument, note that you need to point out that this is the other side, not what you believe, because if you don't do that, then it's going to seem odd, like you're going off track or something. So you write something like this: many believe that, or quite a few feel as though, some experts view, right? So you kind of point out that this is the other side of the coin, and then you explain the other side without bias, okay? Don't show how they're wrong. You explain the counter argument without bias, and be honest with the counter argument. Don't just make up stuff and make it sound weak. That's not going to work either. You need to be honest and you need to be truthful with this counter argument, and then refute it in your rebuttal. If you can't fully refute it, that's fine. Equivocate and allow some of the things within the counter argument to be valid. All right? So this is basically right here, this basically discusses what I just said. All right? So let's move back to the lessons again. All right, so we have this. Then I want you to also pay attention to this: annoying ways people use sources. All right, so this is a funny little argument. Whoops, I closed it. All right, so let me pull it up again. Okay, so this is a funny little article, and I kind of feel like it's an important one for you guys to read. The reason why is a lot of students, number one, complain about having to use research. Number two, complain about having to use the APUS library. And number three, feel as though it's research is sort of the side thing they had to put in for filler. Well, that's all of that's incorrect, right? First of all, research is critical in your college education. You are growing your knowledge in college, right? You're not emphasizing knowledge that you already had. You are making your knowledge about certain topics grow and become more rounded and fuller. And the way you do this is through research. That's one of the ways. The other way is reading the lessons, which I want you to do. But research helps you grow in this knowledge. So oftentimes what students do is they pull in quotations because they have to, and then they try to find sources in the library that agree with what they already know. That's not what I want you to do. I want you to use the research, read it, and then use that research to form your argument. All right? So this article discusses that issue. Also, I wanted to show you something. A lot of students have difficulties with the citations because you have to make it clear where you received your information for any specific reference in your essay. This doesn't always mean, though, that you have to put a quotation after each sentence, right? You can start a section clarifying where you're receiving this information from, and then make it clear throughout that section, and then add the closing citation at the end. Okay? So introduce the author or the article, and then write the information that you got from that author or article. And then if you have a page number, include it at the end. If you did not if you do not have a page number, then you don't even need to include a citation, as long as it is very clear where you received all of this information. And of course, if you're using exact wording, you must use quotation marks. All right? But I do want you to read that article. All right. So the next thing you need to do is you need to click on the lesson, one of the two lessons. And this lesson has a number of topics that will help you with your analysis essay. The one topic I do want to bring up is the questions or the topic that you're using for the next assignment. Does it pass the dinner table test? All right, so picture this. Military families all sitting around a Thanksgiving dinner, and because they don't have their families around, right? And this is actually a true story that happened to me and my family. My family and I. We were sitting around a table with a group of other military families, and one of the people at the table decided, hey, let's bring up controversial topics and argue about them. Naturally, this was not a good idea for Thanksgiving because we all ended up arguing and yelling at each other, and we all went home in a huff. However, although this doesn't work well with Thanksgiving dinners, this does work well for your final analysis essay. You need to think about this. What would work for a dinner table discussion? Would a dinner table discussion work well with a simple question? Probably not. That's not an interesting discussion. A question like this is more open-ended and has implications. This brings in further discussion, and there's also two sides often to it that people can argue about. You need to find a topic for your next essay with which regularly educated people could disagree. Because if you don't do that, then your analysis essay will not work. You have to have a counter argument and rebuttal, not only for your position essay that you're going to be discussing this week in the forums, but for your future analysis essay as well. All right, but I do want you to go through the entire assignment here, all right? I want you to go through the entire week 6 lesson. And then finally, you have another lesson that's due. It's called the analysis or the analytical questioning section. It's just basically going through what I just discussed with you. Does your topic pass the dinner table test? Is it something that you can really use analysis with? This is something to think about when you're choosing your final topic. All right, so I've gone through the lessons. I've gone through the forums. Briefly, the forums are set up again like they have been for the previous forums, where you have to use thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, or thread 4, and you need to put your initial post there. All right, so when you discuss your classmates' counter arguments, what I want you to do is I want you to think about this right here. All right, I don't want you to talk about how great their topic is or how well they wrote it. I want you to give some critical feedback. When I say critical, I mean dive beneath the surface and really help your classmates. All right, finally, you have an assignment due this week. Let's pull this up. This is the annotated bibliography. All right, so what do I mean by an annotated bibliography? First, you're going to provide citations, and my computer is running super slow right now. Oh well. Oh, yay. Okay. So I was worried it was not going to pull up. All right, so it is going to pull up though. Okay, so again, do not write about gun control. I don't want to see it. Don't want to have anything to do with gun control. All right, so first, I want you to choose 2 sources for your week 7 paper. So this week you are choosing a topic for your week 7 analysis paper. You're going to write an annotated bibliography for that. You're going to find 1 source from the APUS library, and I will be checking for this. I want you to use the APUS library. Then the other source can be from a web page that's .edu, .org, some sort of authoritative source for your second source. So let's look at this. You need to tell me what sort of citation you're going to use, and then you need to create a citation. And note that this citation I'm going to fix because this is actually MLA 7th edition. I want you to use 8th edition, so you'll see something different here in the assignment directions. Right here, this is where your annotation would be. Now let's look how long it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking for about 4 to 5 sentences for each of your annotations. I want you to give a little bit of biography about the author. I want you to discuss what's in the actual article or book, and then I want you to explain to me how you plan to use that rubric. That article in your essay or book. All right, so let's look at the rubric for this. This is what I'm looking for. Source selection. It's a big part of your grade. Make sure you use the APUS library. Source summary. Remember, you need to include that in the annotation. Source evaluation just means how or if you plan on using that source in your essay. Formatting is 20%. Not looking for perfection. As long as you try and it looks somewhat like the format method that you wrote in your headers, I probably will give you full credit. I'll just show you how to fix it. Grammar mechanics, obviously I always check everything that you write. Please write as well as you can in an error-free manner. Going back. Okay, so this explains what peer review is. Peer review articles are articles that have been examined for accuracy by experts in the field. These sorts of articles are stronger than websites because you have many different people who are experts making sure that the article is accurate. That's what peer-reviewed means. Peer means experts that are the peer to the author who should also be an expert. That's why it's peer-reviewed. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, but I do want you to take a look at this document, and this one just gives you some advice about how to write an annotation. These are longer though. You don't have to write such long annotations. For me, I'm only looking for 4 to 5 sentences. Okay, that's about it this week. I hope I answered most of your questions. After viewing this video, though, if you still have questions or concerns, feel free to message me, or even better, could you please post to the open forum, because I'm receiving a lot of questions that are the same over and over again, and it would really help if you post in the course questions area. All right, stay healthy, uh, stay safe. I appreciate all of you who are working towards helping everyone with this horrible virus. And I wish you all the best and have a wonderful week. Take care.